All right, guys. Good morning. Today is Wednesday. We got the FOMC minutes report later. Nasdaq is up. Let me mute this before. Yeah, go. FOMC minutes report. Yeah, market's down. Investors are worried about Target because of an internal CEO succession plans. Lowe's is up 4.5% today after quarter two expectations exceeded expectations, raising full year guidance and announcing an $8.8 billion acquisition of foundation building material. We also have others: TJ Maxx, Estee Lauder, Walmart on watch. Most stocks and futures are trading lower today as tech names continue to feel pressure. Specifically, you can see Nvidia has pulled all the way back to 175.70s. The recent wall of earning gains is facing a correction. Investors are concerned over tech valuations and government intervention. There's talks that the current administration may take equity stake in chip makers like AMD, Nvidia, and Intel in exchange for CHIPS Act grants, spurring cautiousness among traders ahead of their earnings report, Nvidia's earnings report specifically later next week. So the tech-led weakness is also spilling into global markets, not just U.S. markets, but global markets now. Taiwan and South Korea indices are down today, 2.6% and 1.7% respectively. European futures are also down. The concern over government meddling in chips fueling risk off. Again, Intel kind of eating a lot of this, but they're down a little bit today. Not a huge amount though. Again, reports surfaced that the U.S. government may convert CHIPS Act grants into 10% non-voting equity stake, raising dilution concerns as well. Similar agreements are considered for Micron and Taiwan Semiconductors. Gold is up a lot on this risk-off sentiment. So we'll see what that does. Crypto, on the other hand, if we take a look at Bitcoin's up to 113s and 114s, but it's still down pretty significantly here. Hertz is going to begin selling pre-owned vehicles on Amazon Autos, a move intended to boost the company's retail operations. JP Morgan and MUFG are nearing a $22 billion data center financing deal in Texas. Analog Devices, ADI, came out with quarter three earnings. They posted adjusted EPS 205, expected 193, better than expected EPS. Revenue of 2.88 billion versus 2.75 expected. We also had some news that might be pushing oil prices up. Here's oil. Russia's foreign minister says they didn't hear any constructive ideas from Europeans at their meetings with the president, only see the European Union's attempt to aggressively escalate the Ukrainian situation, end quote. We did have the 30-year mortgage rate show up today at 6.68%. It was slightly higher than last week's number. So slightly higher than last week's number. And then we've got a couple big earnings. Some have already came out. Target posted 205 EPS versus 209, worse than expected. They missed it by about 1.9%. Revenue did come in better than expected for Target, though, at 25.21 billion versus 24.88 billion expected. I still expect Target to decrease some. Yeah, Target's down. I might buy this dip in Target, to be completely real, because Target's got a low PE ratio. So I actually might buy this dip from them. They're down a lot. I'm not telling you to buy this dip. I have no idea what's going to happen. Don't copy me. I'm not an investment professional. Not liable if you lose. Make your own assessment, trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. But target seems cheaper down here. Shoot. I like fit. Alright. About 15 shares a target down here. Might add to it as it keeps going down and just hold long term. You think Palantir might drop more? Yeah, one of the big stories in markets is Palantir's correction. I mean, most people saw this coming at least a little bit. The PE ratio just wasn't sustainable up to $200 a share, so it had to end sometime. It's not going to continue to push up. Palantir, just crazy high PE ratio. It was just never going to hold those type of gains, to be honest. It just wasn't. KeyBank said Nvidia may guide below consensus on China uncertainty, so Nvidia is expected to post strong July quarter results, but may guide cautiously for October due to China-related risks. According to KeyBank, the bank expects Nvidia to exclude China revenue from guidance amid pending license approvals and potentially 15% AI export taxes, and pressure on China firms to use local chips. Without China guidance could miss consensus, though KeyBank estimates they could add 2 to 3 billion in sales. Still fundamentally strong. GPU supplies rose 40% last quarter and should grow another 20% with Blackwell ramping, while the new Blackwell Ultra B300 ships in October. Rack production is also getting better. Shipments on track to hit 30K this year. KeyBank reiterates an overweight rating and raises price target to 215 ahead of their August 27th report. But again, they're worried about guidance not being so good. I'm seeing some news about Powell unlikely to commit on rates. So they're saying Fed Jerome Powell is expected to keep options open in Jackson Hole on Friday, avoiding signals on September cut. Markets largely expect easing, but he may stress that the path isn't certain. LH Meyer is a research firm. They are noting he could temper expectations to prevent markets from fully being locked into a cut ahead of the Fed's blackout period leading into it. We got that news coming out. A lot of pessimism today. Chips are down. Pulled back a little bit yesterday. Maybe we bounced today. I don't know, maybe exponent. Go. Got some of this here. 1. That down there, that's 2. This trade just worked out for me very quickly here. We'll cut the rest right there and just lock it in. Very fast. $40. About 10 seconds. I'll take it. Good enough. Nvidia dipped under the previous closing price as well here. FOMC minutes is at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. Two of that. JP Morgan desk thinks we think that yesterday created an opportunity to buy the dip on Jackson Hole. There are no expectations for Powell to divulge any material information. We look for stagflation evidence to flip our view to bearish. So a lot of kind of contradictory stuff going on, a lot of unknown. I think we might chop today, to be honest. Also seeing some news that the Swedish finance minister sees no implement of risk of very high inflation. We did a poll already. We asked people, will the market pull back leading into September? 71% say yes, 29% say no. See. When do we get to the minutes of FOMC? 2 p.m. today. Should have held this down to the 20 level. We got out at like 25, but still. Yeah, we don't really have any 8:30 data this morning, but we got some news coming out all day, and we're going to be trading live. But European CPI showed up mostly flat this morning. Year over year, 2% as expected. Month over month, 0% as expected. NBA 30-year mortgage rates jumped up slightly from 6.67% last time for NBA 30-year mortgage. Now it's at 6.68%. We got Waller speaking at 11. We got the FOMC minutes report at 2. Bostic speaking at 3. 20-year bond auction at 1 as well. We got some stuff. Tomorrow's busy. Friday's busy. See what this looks like. Morning from Spain was wondering your view on hedging. Oh, it depends on what you mean by hedging. I mean long-term hedging, short-term hedging, option hedging, futures hedging, day trading hedging. You know, what do you mean by it? Hedging's generally good if you can find some volatility. Hedge, you know. Powell's gonna take the market. I think he might as well. I think he might be hawkish. I think he might. I don't think he's necessarily going to be hawkish, but I think he's going to be really neutral and refuse to give out any type of firm outlook for rates. That's what I think. If we take a look at bond yields this morning, I should have held that short, by the way. But if we take a look at bond yields, I just saw a lot of bearish stuff come out over the last few minutes. That's why I wanted to short. And look at the NASDAQ tumble here. But if we take a look at bond yields this morning, yields are down a little bit relative to where they were yesterday. Yields yesterday were at 4.32% or so. Now it looks like they are sitting at 4.29%, under 4.3%. So relative to yesterday, they're down slightly. Kind of see the trend from yesterday down to today. Yields are decreasing, showing a lower interest rate sentiment. We take a look at rate cut odds. Rate cut odds have bumped up a little bit, you know, which would make sense if yields are down. Lower interest rate sentiment. So we're at about 85 to 15 likelihood of a cut next month in September as of now, but this could certainly change based off of what Jerome Powell says during Jackson Hole Symposium tomorrow. We also have the FOMC minutes report today. We'll see what that looks like as well. Yeah, I'll draw some levels here on my charts. Got 450 right there. 400 here. I would say like 430 looks like one. Maybe 440 right here. Look at it. I'd say 410 looks like a level 2 here, to be honest. That's what I got right here. We'll pull back again today. Powell's at leading towards cutting. Yeah, that might be true. Yeah, I mean, hedging can be good if you do it right. It's all about whether you do it right, though. SJM upgraded at Citi, or at JP Morgan. Gap downgraded at Citi. Seeing some bearish trends pick up though. Nvidia is now red on the day. Other microchips are red. AMD's now red. Been red all morning basically. Apple, red. Everything red basically. So looks like I cut most of my long positions that I bought a few days ago. Looks like right around the right time. Right around the right time. Made you want to go long yesterday on Top Step. Extension mixed with risk and reward. It was a pretty small trade. I had a bigger reward than risk. Honestly though, like I said, I've been on Top Step TV like 5 or 6 or 7 times. I have to go back and check, but that was my first time losing in a long on Top Step TV. Like I said, I probably deserved it. It was probably time. You know, the odds weren't in my favor eventually. Eventually I'm gonna lose. You know, I'm not gonna just never lose. And so, you know, I'm okay with it. I actually got into a couple trades after it, and I made some of the money back. I didn't make all the money back, but I made some of it back, so we did okay. Wasn't the worst day it could be. And then we're up a little bit this morning already. We took a short up here, running down to the 200 exponential. See what happens now. Jobs report the Fed. I think we're done for the next year. Looks like we're stagflation bound. Well, the stagflation is certainly the story right now. I hear a lot of banks reiterating that they're worried about stagflation. We're gonna see if we start to see any influence to like GDP and stuff, because you know, sometimes stagflation, the reason I reference GDP is because stagflation can sometimes precede a recession, and so you know, look at that. As of now, according to the market, which is based off of yields, right? Like the CME watch tool based off of yields, right? According to that, we have about a 15% chance of a pause next month, and it's 85% chance of a cut next month. Just about. But that's subject to change. It's going to depend on what the labor market shows, what Powell says. The day after tomorrow, it's going to depend on a lot of different things. Like Powell, look, Powell is, okay. When the FOMC cuts rates, they do it to stimulate a weak labor market and economy. And so if they cut rates, it's usually to stimulate a weak labor market in the economy, but you need inflation to be low to justify cuts, because if inflation's not low, cutting rates and doing economic stimulus can make inflation worse. I mean, QE, quantitative easing and money printing and like other actions by the Fed might make it even worse. Those are the real risks to inflation, but cutting could induce inflation at least a little bit. And so with that, the Fed always talks about their dual mandate, which is low inflation and price stability is what they call it, and you know, a strong labor market. They want a strong, but that's kind of like saying I want GDP to grow at 5% and no inflation, right? Like, it's not really a reasonable ask, but sometimes they can get it done. But the point is, the Fed wants balance. If the economy's too weak, they'll lower interest rates, stimulate it. When interest rates are cheaper, businesses can expand and people spend more because they got cheaper access to money, and consequently, you know, prices might rise, but the labor market is stimulated from it in that regard, specifically because businesses can expand and hire more people, and thus it helps the labor market. On the other end of that, if inflation's like a big problem, right? If inflation's growing rampantly and it's out of freaking control, the Fed will pivot to the other side, where they'll be what's called hawkish or restrictive. They'll raise interest rates to do the exact opposite, to push the economy down a little bit, to slow it down because inflation's rising too quickly. And, you know, they can do more desperate things like quantitative tightening, which is the unloading of the Fed's balance sheet. They don't really sell off. That would be direct QT. They don't usually do direct QT, but they do something called passive QT, which is just letting their bonds and other financial assets that they hold in their balance sheet just kind of mature and like expire essentially and run off. And again, that restricts the economy enough to slow inflation down. They did this after, like in 2020, they stimulated the economy. They had stimulus checks, supply chain problems. 2022, bad inflation had happened, right? And so then they had to slow down that inflation. So then they pivot to the other side, and the Fed and Jerome Powell raised rates like 450 basis points, and then they paused rates for a year. And then at the end of last year, they started cutting them again, right? And then they paused them until now, probably until next month, but we'll see. And so the point is, we're somewhere in the middle right now. We've got some high inflation signals, some reasonable inflation signals. We've got some weak labor market signals, some strong labor market signals, strong GDP for the most part. Unemployment's relatively low at 4.2% or whatever it is. And so we're kind of somewhere in the middle at this point in time. But rate cuts and all that stuff is supposed to be proactive. And so it's supposed to avoid economic weakness, not react to it necessarily, if that makes sense. And so we're kind of somewhere in the middle, and it's ambiguous what we're going to do. Nobody knows what we're going to do. A lot of people want rate cuts. It's got really political now, and understandably so. I mean, the president wants low interest rate environment so he can say, hey guys, look at my GDP, you know, look how strong the labor market is under my watch. And that's every president. You can't really knock them for it. That's kind of what they do. But that's where we're at right now. And with all that said, we've had some big labor market revisions. Look at the NASDAQ just turn here, though, guys. We've had some big labor market revisions. They revised the last labor report down like a huge percentage, a huge amount. They revised it down 258,000 jobs for May and June, much weaker. And then Goldman Sachs came out yesterday thinking that they're going to revise jobs down even more next time. And so that freaked a lot of people out. And, you know, we also have the chips stuff, like the kind of tariffs on chips and restrictions so that maybe the current administration can get equity. We see some ideas around Intel regarding that, and that's freaking people out. They think it's going to be restrictive regarding chips. Next week, we got Nvidia guidance in earnings on the 27th. That's going to be kind of crazy. So yeah, we got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Everybody doing that boring buy the dip strategy. The only thing I bought the dip on was Target, and that's just because it specifically had earnings this morning. And I'm actually green on this position now, but I bought Target under 95. And so I'm not telling you to buy it. I have no freaking idea what I'm talking about. I might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Do not copy me. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Don't copy me. No idea what I'm talking about. Don't do it. With that said, though, NASDAQ's flushing down. We're under 23.4s here. But the question is, do we react in a choppy way in markets? Like, people are asking me why I bought yesterday. It's because I think the markets could be choppy heading into Jerome Powell on Friday. It doesn't mean it will be. There's always variance. We can only make like a thesis and hope that thesis plays out. But, you know, I think we could get choppiness leading into it. When we drop this much, I kind of do want to buy it up. We'll see how it goes. I bought United Health before Buffett. Yeah, kind of, I guess. We're under 400. We dumped under that quickly now. The NASDAQ is just turning quickly. I tend to think we're going to bounce sometimes. I'm going to buy this. We're green on the day already, so we got some cushion. I need a little bit larger size. We'll play this one very safe and risk averse. The risk here is that it'll probably bounce a little bit, but when it goes down, it could go down just. And so that's the risk in a trade like this. All right, we're good. We're green. Take a piece off up here if we can. Ugh. Try to get filled. I'm going to cut this now. It just didn't work out. We lost a very small amount. We might buy it again, but yeah. So once it starts to turn, that's what I'm saying. I got out very fast, so I was able to avoid this. This is just some deep red. It might be getting bought up here again too. Try it again. I usually go with the trend, but when we're down this much, I think that's a risky thing. But the markets just keep dropping the last few days. There we go. There we go. Bro. Actually, I might add to this a little bit on a little retracement back down. Yeah, we're going to add to it right here. Pop right back up. There we go. All right, we took half off there. Get a little bit more. We'll cut this one break even now. All right, we're gonna cut it right there. All right, so we made money. That's good. Got out the rest break even. Might keep going up, but when we're attacking a counter trend thing. Oh, there's 400 right there. My other charts don't have these levels on it. Maybe I should have stayed in at 400, but maybe not. Like we're falling. Looks like we're rejecting here. Honestly, I might say like 405 or whatever this number is holding more than 400 is. When I look at the chart. Yeah, you really did tell us about UNH. UNH just seemed cheap, man. It's not really, it's not super complicated regarding United Health. It's really not. It's just United Health as a company down a huge percentage, like 70%. Then once it's down that much, the question is this going to go out of business? And I don't necessarily think it is. And so if it's not going to go out of business, it's probably going to bounce back. And I think that's the same thing that Buffett had in mind with it, you know. China initiating WTO dispute against Canada over surcharges and quotas on steel and aluminum imports. How to save Palantir? Palantir is like 600 PE right now. Palantir's got 600 price to earnings, which means that Palantir is priced at an incredible premium even after it pulled back so massively over the last 3 days. Right? So, yeah. All right, so Fed chair candidate Zervos says the balance sheet is no longer a kicker for the economy. Fed policies are very restrictive. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I even necessarily disagree with him right now, but I think he's also vying for that job. He's vying for that top spot. And so if you want to be next chairman, if you want to be in the running for the next chairman, what kind of tone do you need to have? You better have a dovish tone right now. You better say, hey, we're so restrictive. We need a low rates. You better mirror the president is what they're essentially doing. And that's what you see a lot of them doing. Like the smart guys that are trying to run for the next Fed chairman. That's what you see Bowman doing. That's what you see Zervos doing now. So you see a lot of these candidates for the next FOMC chairman. They're basically just, they're pandering a little bit to what the president wants. I'm not even disagreeing necessarily. I think we could probably cut rates 25 basis points this last meeting as long as we maintain balance. Like if we end quantitative tightening, we can pause, and I'm okay with that as well. But I think we should do something for balance. If we really want to bring mortgage rates down, in the QT of mortgage-backed securities, you know, in the sell-off of mortgage-backed securities, that is the, you know. And I think if we do, it'll bring interest rates down some. But yeah, Target might have issues, but generally Target's pretty busy every time I go there. You know, it's down a huge percentage. Down like what, like 15% right now or something like that. Just in terms of long term, probably okay. Yeah, it's not about saving a 500 PE company. A lot of people would argue that Palantir's already priced at a like crazy high premium relative to how much it earns anyway. I mean, PE ratio would show that. Good PE ratio, just to put this in perspective, Palantir's is about 600. A good PE ratio is 15 to 20, maybe 30 right now in this market. Depends on what their average 10-year PE is, but you know, they're at a premium right now. It had to stop eventually. If not, if it doesn't, it's just nonsensical. It's just gonna, and which happens, you know, that happens in markets. But yeah, there's risks. Not necessarily what you want to do, you know. All right, NASDAQ rejecting that 403 level. Like I said, that level's been holding stronger than 400 has. Still heading down though. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I got 15 shares, Brad. It'll be all right. You know, we're just kind of playing with it. We'll see if we get a little dip bounce. If we bounce to like 102s, 104s, we'll take profit. You know, well, we made so much money on Amazon and United Health and Apple after earnings. We got a good cushion on the month anyway. Of Hunter, Mike, Brad, Rish, Pew, Andy, Joe, Lee, Pawn, Ed, Joe, Guy, Rami, Billy, Sarah, Road, Kaiser, One Set, Andy, Danny, Eck, B, Callie, Diablo, Kato, Weird, Arian, Hey, Chat, Discipline, DJ. You think analog device? Analog devices at the open. They had earnings, right? What's the analog device? I always forget the symbol. I think they changed it. What's the analog device? It's like A, B. ADI. Okay, so I was right. ADI. It's up a little bit. All right, look at this breakdown in the NASDAQ here. We're still falling. I actually slept well last night. Good. Wife's love target. I hate shopping. Anywhere. Like, I just don't like it. I'm not a shopper. Like, I get too bored. We shop for 10 minutes, I'm done with it. I'm ready to just go home, you know? Like, my family wants to go shopping. I don't want to go shopping at all. I'm just like, hey, let's get out of here. Boring. Walking around looking at food. All right, so China is considering allowing yuan-backed stablecoins for the first time to boost currency internationalism. According to Reuters, Chinese authorities expected to approve roadmap for further yuan internationalism or internationalization later this month. They're expected to discuss expanded currency use, potentially including stablecoins at upcoming Shanghai summit, and according to Newswires. Nasdaq's bouncing back a little bit now, though. Yeah, I like shopping for computers or tech, but I hate the grocery store. The grocery store, like, I never want to go. I always dislike it. My dad was cheap. Not cheap, he was frugal growing up. So I get stressed out going to the grocery store with Carol. Carol's throwing all kind of stuff in the cart, and I can afford it. It's not even that, like, I don't have the money. It just naturally stresses me out for some reason. I don't know why. Doesn't matter how much money I have. I still get stressed. Yeah, 8 a.m. in about 9 minutes, 8 minutes. We'll see what happens. NASDAQ's bouncing back. We're almost back up to the 200 exponential. Any data report today? We got the FOMC minutes report at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Outside of that, we don't have any 8:30 data, not really. Yeah, Zervos speaking still. He said the Fed Powell is operating politically from the left side. Fed isn't independent. Yeah, that's basically what. Didn't the current president nominate Jerome Powell though? I don't know. I don't really follow politics. TJ Maxx came out with earnings a couple minutes ago. 110 EPS versus 96. I mean, yeah, it could fall back down for sure. Like I said, guys, I think we're gonna chop today. There's a lot of, anytime there's unknown, a lot of the time we get choppiness. If things are unknown, like if we don't know what we're gonna do, what we're gonna get, we don't know whether we're gonna cut rates next month, we don't know whether Jerome Powell is gonna commit to rate cuts or stay hawkish or data dependent. That's a lot of question marks. And so with those question marks, a lot of the time we get apprehensive price action, which is up and down, up and down, up and down. I should have held that long. Kind of broke down a lot. I don't know if I would have, but the point is, I think today might be sideways. But with that said, I thought yesterday would be sideways, and it was not sideways. It was down. So what do I know? But yeah, the next Fed meeting is 3 weeks. I think it's what, September 17th or something like that. Yeah, we'll see what that looks like. But the first time we're going to get an update into what he might do that meeting is going to be day after tomorrow on Friday for the Jackson Holes. I need to shave my beard, bro. Might be time for a haircut too. All right, so let's see if we bounce off a 410. Messages apparently a few minutes behind. Hit the live button next to the play button. Be caught up, whoever's behind. Put it 2x speed as well, you'll never be delayed here. A mustache, bro? I don't know if I could. I'm not a mustache guy. I'm just not. No offense. I don't know. I feel like I'm in the 80s if I have a mustache, to be honest. Right, so we're still falling down here. We hit that 200 exponential at like 417s on the NQ, and now we're still falling. Nvidia is still red. Gold's still pushing up. Target consolidating sideways. Is it a buy the dip moment, chat? That's a big question. Let's ask the chat. Is it a buy the dip moment? Should we buy the dip right now? I'm trying to trade, but I don't really see anything I like. Maybe I'll short. I'll try shorting right here. We'll see what happens. Got a little bit of a cheap entry. Might add to it here. Tight risk. Maybe flush. Right at that 200 exponential. I just want to see if that rejects us back down a little bit here. Ideally, I'd like 400. We could use a risk level of 420, but I will take some off here if we get enough in my favor fast. Not like we are now. Got some room here at least. All right, we went immediately in my favor here. Let's see if we can fall down some more. We got the 8 a.m. scrum coming out in 3 minutes, so I just thought about that. I didn't think about that. I'll just have my hand over the sell button, but hopefully if we fall down. There we go. All right, I'm gonna 10 tick trade. I'm gonna take a piece off here just because I can. There we go. I'm gonna cut it right there. I got out of this quick. I just realized that the 8 a.m. scrum is going on in about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. I don't really want to hold. I would have held to 400, maybe 405 right there. But number one, it went immediately in my favor very quickly. Number two is that the 8 a.m. scrum might influence it enough to where I don't necessarily want to be stuck in this. And then with that said, there's the bounce. Maybe I got out in time. Nice green trade. Everybody's favorite number, Lee. I was thinking of buying the dip long term, but that PPI inflation got me worried, and Walmart and Target data. I call it the 8 a.m. scrum, and just at 8 a.m. we get a bunch of orders from overnight that get filled, and it can sometimes move markets enough to be kind of whippy. Not always, just sometimes. And so I'd rather get out now and then figure out what I want to do afterwards. A lot of people saying no, don't buy the dip at your peril. What makes you see a flush? I just thought we would reject a little bit, but it looks like I got out just in time. You shouldn't have held it through earnings, MC. If you got an option, yeah, I mean, maybe on earnings you can make bigger money, but it's also riskier. Like, I would much rather, like, everybody always tries to gamble on earnings, but generally I have very good accuracy. If you guys ever look at the dip buys I make after earnings, be honest, it's genuinely one of the easiest swing trading strategies you can get involved. It might not work every time, who knows, but I would say I'm running at least 80% on these trades, at least 80%. So if you look at the stocks that I'm like, hey, I'm buying this after earnings, usually it's like earnings come out, we get a big drop downward. I buy that dip. Within 2-3 days, usually we're back up at least 30% of that gap. And usually I take profit, then let the rest sit longer term. Very accurate. Just, you gotta understand, earnings, anything can freaking happen. They're not predictable. Like, bro, a company can have good EPS, good revenue, good guidance, fall 15% in 30 minutes from earnings. So it doesn't matter, you know. Traders are fickle. Investors are fickle. They might find that one thing they don't like in that report, and they're gonna magnify that, and stocks going down sometimes. And so there's no way to avoid that. It's because of that, I really don't hold anything except long-term investments through earnings. It's just too much risk. No, we're not really moving at all. We're up a little bit for sure, but we actually got out of that last trade green. Oh, we shorted down to like 405. Cut it. Here's the 8 a.m. scrum right now. Get some movement. Sometimes it's earnings. It does. Sometimes it's earnings. Sometimes, I mean, guidance is obviously one of the heavier aspects of it. I would say the tier list goes: guidance is the most important thing, followed by revenue, followed by EPS. Right? But it varies. And sometimes you got good all three and the market's still falling, and the NASDAQ or whatever stock it is still falling. And so it doesn't always mean anything. You can look at guidance and that's great, but a lot of the potential moves are happening before. And so It's gonna be hard to kind of catch. It's just a risk. Might lose my funded here. Be short. Yeah, I mean, I got out of my 8 a.m. position for. This is why 8 a.m. scrum can bring volatility. You get a lot of overnight orders getting filled. There's just risks there. Yeah, so you'll see orders kick in. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I'd expect today, and again, maybe I'm wrong, is big range, but chop, you know, like this all day. I don't know though. It might not happen. We got some stuff that's going on today. Might influence it. Nvidia's kind of climbing back up. It's one of the reasons. Nvidia went green on the day for a little while. Just recently pulled back. Yeah, Minutes Report is a detailed 12-page document on why the Fed chose what they did and breakdown of outlook and all that stuff from the last Fed meeting is what it is. Every 3 weeks we get either a Fed Minutes Report or a FOMC meeting. That means that the next FOMC meeting is in approximately 3 weeks, I mean. So. Bro, why are they showing me 49ers stuff, dude? The algo got it wrong. That's all I'm saying. Alright, so we're starting to push up. We're at 430s. Gold's still rising on fears. Look at gold. TDG declares a special cash dividend of $90 a share and announces successful completion of incremental debt. Navarro says the perception that India needs Russian oil is wrong. Just posted that. Is there news stories that Walmart shrimp is radioactive? I'm not buying Walmart. Is Navarro speaking right now? Meta? Down with most tech today. Most tech is down right now. Fears of microchip pullbacks, microchip suppression overseas. Current administration getting too involved with microchips, so it's making the market drop for the most part. How does this happen regarding Walmart? You know? How does that happen? Do we think any big institutions will buy up Nvidia today? Seems like some of them bought in so much before. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's up in the air regarding what we do today in terms of price action. I think markets could go up, could go down. They could rebound from the drops. They could continue the drops. Or, my personal favorite, we could chop sideways out of apprehension. I think that's probably what we're going to do, but nobody knows. I love crawfish. As long as the crawfish are safe, I'm good. Yeah, I mean, FOMC minutes tomorrow, today at 2 p.m. Jobless claims unemployment tomorrow. And Philly Fed index tomorrow. Existing home sales tomorrow. Manufacturing and services PMI tomorrow. So tomorrow we actually have a pretty significant amount of stuff leading into Friday, the FOMC thing. So it'll be busy. It'll be interesting. I mean, I like quantum, but I think there's risks, as I've always said. You know, there's risks to quantum. I mean, don't get me wrong. Quantum seems like the next big thing, but it's not 100%, and it's still in its infancy. And so with that infancy, there's still a lot of unknowns. There's still a lot of question marks about quantum. But, you know, if you isolate a small percentage of your portfolio and you use it to get some risk on sentiment and, you know, hedge maybe, I think there's some arguments for buying quantum right now. Why do we even have markets if they're waiting for Powell? Powell's going to tell us what the path is for rates, which is a very influential thing regarding the economy and markets. You know, there's always catalysts, there's always big figures, there's always influence. After Powell, there'll be another chairman who's going to, you know, speak and influence things as well, right? And so that's how it goes. You know, person that controls the rates controls the economy to a certain extent. Market's not on edge, the bulls are. Wouldn't the bulls be part of the market? All I'm saying is you're wrong. Bulls are market equals market's on edge. No, AI is the future, 100%, without question. AI is the future. And again, I think AI is going to be big. I think it's some of the easiest money to make in markets. But I think we need to make sure to program defense mechanisms out of them, because AI system can't have a freaking defense mechanism in it, meaning it can't try to protect itself by doing crazy stuff, right? This should be the number one necessary characteristic of AI, is that it has no self-defense mechanism. And right now, you know, all these companies, I said this yesterday, all these companies recognize AI is the future. Whoever controls AI is going to run the world, 100%. Right? And so all these tech companies are vying for AI. They're building AI, and understandably so. If I was them, I would do the same thing, right? The problem is that because it's so competitive right now, people are kind of putting everything else, maybe some of those necessary characteristics like no defense mechanisms, on the back seat to grow it faster and faster and faster and faster, right? So that's the big issue right now. That's the problem right now, in my opinion. That's the risk, is that in 20 or 30 years, like if you think about the exponential growth that AI has made so far, and then you extrapolate that over like a 10, 20, 30 year period, AI is going to be crazy in 30 years. with that craziness comes a lot of risks in a lot of different ways. So, you know, how does it affect your finance? I don't know. It might not matter much in the end anyway, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm nervous. Question is, how does an AI company make money? That answer is very easy. Data. How do tech companies make money? They make it through data, mostly. You know, how do hardware companies make money? They sell microchips and other stuff. How do AI companies make money? Through data. They use your data. 100%. That's what they do. That's normal. I mean, you can't knock them for it. That's what they've always done. Yeah, I mean, I got 15 share target. We'll see what happens. I might add to it if it drops too much. It's down to 70s, 80s. I'll add more. A lot of our big tech companies are behind the ball. I don't necessarily think so. Companies fire people to save money with AI. Sure. I think that's probably true. I mean, that's normal. Navarro is still speaking about Russian oil. Alright, guys, so we're still waiting here. Nasdaq's finally pulling back again. I think we get chopped. We already had some volatility, and now I think we might trend sideways until then. Power needed for AI is the next hurdle. Sure, but they're gonna figure it out. That's kind of what happens. Necessity is the mother of invention, and so in that context, they're gonna figure that out. I'm not really worried about that. It might be something, but I don't think it's gonna be anything super negative for AI regarding that hurdle. I'll figure it out. Why is the market fearful? Market's fearful, not necessarily. They're fearful because Powell speaks and they think he's going to be hawkish. I think, even though rates even though yields are down a little bit over the last 48 hours, they're fearful specifically because of potential microchip suppression from the current administration, kind of putting like levies on companies like AMD and Nvidia, or trying to get equity stake for approval to sell their chips overseas and all this other stuff, right? Like mostly markets are down today in a mix of that, worries about suppression in tech and microchips. Intel specifically is the prime example right now. It's down. So that's kind of essentially what it is. FOMC minutes is at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, we had the NBA 30-year mortgage rate show up slightly higher than last time. Slightly higher. I'm not telling you to buy anything, Brent. I have no idea what you should do, bro. Not an investment professional. That's not what I'm not going to tell anybody to do anything here. And you shouldn't want me to, because I have no idea what I'm talking about. Don't copy me. No. No idea what you should do, brother. No idea. Yeah, I'm skeptical of companies like UPS and FedEx, to be honest. I've been skeptical of them for a minute now, though. Yeah, they're down on the year. All right. All right. Yeah, we got Waller speaking later. We got the FOMC minutes report at 2 p.m. Bostic also speaking at 3 o'clock. Good day. Yeah, we got some Fed speakers. Hey, thank you, Sam. S&P weighted average actually went up 0.45% yesterday. Yeah. I cut my United Health finally in the profit. Again, bullish or bearish. Looking at our poll, we asked people, does the market pull back into September? 71% say yes. Out of about 700 votes, 29% said no. Again, we'll see what we get. Today's the 20th already, bro. It's early. We still got 10 days left. Amazon earnings in exactly a week from now. They're next Wednesday. NASDAQ chopping sideways. Gold's still looking up. I think a lot of smart people bought gold. Just based off of like what we got going on. Still sideways. You can maybe watch 425 up there. Look at gold to buy gold at 33.80s. Still looking at news. We had Navarro speaking earlier. 3 U.S. investment grade bond deals are expected on Wednesday, defying the traditional late August slowdown, according to Bloomberg, citing survey of debt underwriters. We also had the OpenAI CFO says they're seeing increase in Plus and Pro subscriptions since GPT-5 release, according to CNBC. Target CEO says this year's profit and loss will show some short-term pressure from tariffs. That's probably what's dragging Target down. But again, I don't mind Target long term, and I start small, and then I'll maybe average into it over a longer period of time and just look for like a long-term investment is what I'm doing there. We bought Target a lot in the past, off and on. I'm not super worried about it. All right, we're back up some here. Gold's still ripping though. Look at that, 333.81s. Palantir bounce. Yeah, Palantir's down a lot too. Amazon and HIMS. I bought HIMS a few days ago. I'm actually in HIMS right now. We're green on the day. Up a little bit this morning. Again, we're kind of stagnating here. We got 8 minutes left. 88 to 90. Burke finally went up yesterday. Yes, about time Burke went up. Intel should break out, just got dragged down by the market. Yeah, but Intel was struggling anyways, though, prior to some of the stuff going on. I don't necessarily like Intel. It's too volatile. Yeah, HIMS is a smart business model. Almost as smart as this mic, right? This mic makes the color of the mic rainbow. And the only way to change it from a rainbow mic is to download their Ingenuity software and manually change the color. So if you want people to download your software, make your mic rainbow and force them to download it. Speaking of that, problem solved. What color should my mic be today? Green? Make it blue? Get red. Kind of like a darker green, like this. Probably the move here. HIMS a smart business model too. Christmas music is. HIMS a smart business model as well. They take things that men don't want to naturally buy, they're embarrassed to buy in store, and they ship them to your doorstep instead. One of the first companies to do it. This includes, I'm pretty sure, like testosterone. I'm not 100% sure there though. Propecia and balding stuff. Yeah. So it includes a lot of different stuff. So smart business model in that regard as well. 8:30's coming, but all right, sorry, I had to call my kids. There he is. Hey, buddy. Love you, man. Good day. How you feeling? How you feeling? All right, bro. Love you, buddy. Hello. Answering to the poll. I think the only reason for the market's not to pull to the downside going into September, other than the dovish Fed, is the fact that everybody thinks it will go down so much it won't. That's plausible. I disagree on HIMS. It's not, in my view, it's not a good business because the margins are weak. The demand doesn't offer long-term growth potential. I absolutely think it does, and I'll tell you why. Is because when you get on some of these medications, you get on them for a long time, right? A long time. You get on them for 10, 20, 30 years, sometimes life. And so that maintains a pretty consistent driver base. And the fact that they're getting into like the female aspect of it as well, I think makes a lot of sense too, because there's stuff that they don't feel like buying in store either. And so I think the business model makes sense. And yeah, I'm just gonna buy. I bought the dip is what I did. So if it breaks down too much, I will sell this. We'll see. I see Burke finish the right shoulder on a monthly chart. Yeah, maybe. Palantir. Yeah, I mean, Palantir understandably down. I mean, it had a 600 PE ratio. It was never gonna. Yeah, but I would argue that's a smaller aspect of their business, MC. I don't know. For sure. I'm not a big therapist person. I'm not saying you shouldn't go see a therapist. But, like, I'm not. If you got problems, go see one. I'm generally a pretty happy person, though. Like, I've never actually been genuinely, like, depressed or anything like that, I don't think, in my life. I've been pretty happy. I've always been pretty confident and optimistic, I think. I mean, when bad things happen, you know, you get sad, but I think that's just normal. Life's up and down. $40 a share for Palantir is pretty cheap. All right, guys, so here we go. We got 2 minutes left, 2.5 minutes until 8:30. Here we go. Yeah. PE doesn't matter. PE always matters, I think. How much a company earns always matters. Now, we can be optimistic about future growth, 100%, and I think that's what that's what Palantir's up from. But you always got to look at earnings. It's not the end all be all, but it's certainly an important metric you want to watch. Yeah, we're kind of sideways right now. And I think we'll continue to be. Nvidia's up over the previous closing price, not technically green though. Why are pullbacks healthy? Because going up too much can cause crashes. So pullback every now and then on the way up is healthy in that context. We'll be under 6,000 this year. I'm assuming you mean on the S&P 500. Really? You think we're going to be under 6? We're at 64s? I don't know, man. I think people always try to, like, time crashes and pullbacks, and I don't always necessarily think that's the right move. You just got to be smart and be careful. But market generally is going to go up over time. Maybe this year's different. Maybe we pull back, and it's certainly possible. But you just gotta be careful. All right, guys, we're bouncing back. We're at almost 417s, 416s. Yeah, we'll see if the sell-off continues. I don't know. Nvidia holding over that previous closing price. We also have the 200 exponential right here at 175. Maybe we'll bounce back up. Let's see. Alright, so there's 8:30. I should just raise rates. If he raises rates, the market's gonna freak out. If Powell raises rates, there's gonna be chaos in market. There's no FOMC meeting tonight. There's the Fed minutes report tonight, though. Yeah, so OpenAI CEO says we'll look at going public at some point in the future. I think that's a natural next step. All right, look at the NASDAQ fall. I wonder if this is news related. GES. U.S. President says Fed Governor Cook must resign now. So again, President just said Governor Cook must resign now. Where did he say that? I don't see it. Gold's rising up on uncertainty. Looking at that, I don't really see that yet. Oh, I see him. Okay, he posted an article wanting a probe on mortgages. Okay, I'm reading it now. I'm about to summarize this report. So FHFA Director Bill Poot, a close ally with the president, has written to U.S. Attorney General urging her and the Department of Justice official Ed Martin to open an investigation into Governor Lisa Cook from the Federal Reserve. It alleges that she falsified bank documents and property records to obtain a more favorable mortgage terms, implying potential mortgage fraud. Broader pattern of targeting the other side and prominent appointees with legal scrutiny. Could be political retribution. Again, if you want to check out Top Step, again, great way to help support the channel. No PDT in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, some currencies. No PDT rule in futures. Great way to learn how to day trade when most day traders lose. And again, just a good way to learn. Most day traders are going to lose money, and so if you put up your own 5, 10, 20, 30 grand, you're probably going to lose. It doesn't matter where you go, what course you take, who you follow, you're probably going to lose that whole account most likely. And so instead of doing that, you can try Top Step. It's $50 a month. They give you a 50K demo. You pass the test. You got to make 3K in profit without losing 2K, following their rules and conditions. And you want to confirm it with them. I can't guarantee anything. But if you follow their rules, they fund you 50K, 90% split. You get to keep your first 10K and then 90% split afterwards, that is. And it's $50 a month. So it's similar to funding your own account, but it's $50 a month risk. So small risk, decent reward, great way to learn in a structured environment. And they pay out millions, fund thousands. Top Step X has 0 commission. This is a great way to learn. They're a sponsor of mine. I get paid by them though, but genuinely useful. Understand all this stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. Don't copy me. But genuinely useful. If you want to check them out, I'll put the link up in chat. And we'll see what happens. NASDAQ still breaking down. We're testing that 405 level here. I don't think he's trying to throw the market off. I think he wants the market to go up. But he's just playing the political game, man. Here's 400s. We could watch that as well. We're not really respecting it as much though. Love your content. Hey, thank you, man. Hate it. What do you think Palantir is max pain? Could be right here at 150. 150's big milestone, psychological level. Could be at 125s. Could be at 100. You never know. I mean, where max pain is, it depends on how extended everybody is in it. You know. What are your thoughts on rumors of no Fed cut? I mean, I think it's possible. I mean, okay. A lot of it's gonna ride on three major important things. Right? Number one, what Jerome Powell says Friday. What Jerome Powell says Friday is gonna influence the odds for rates. What he says Friday is gonna matter a lot. So what he says Friday is important. Number two is what the PCE inflation metric shows up as at the end of this month. PCE is the personal consumption expenditure. It's the Fed's preferred inflation metric. It's the metric that they look at regarding inflation over everything else. It's PCE, core PCE specifically is what you want to watch. Important. And that drops, I believe, at the end of this month, next week. I believe it's next Thursday or Friday for PCE inflation. It might be next Friday. That's number two. Number three is going to be the next labor report that we get. Right, GDP also matters next week, but number three is going to be the next labor report we get at the early part of next month in September. Right, if that labor report shows massive revisions like Goldman Sachs thinks it's going to, that might influence the odds of rate cuts even more on the upside. That might make rates more likely to be cut. I mean, because when you have weak labor market, it's justifiable to cut rates to a certain extent, right? So that's what the big three that you want to look at. Regarding economics over the next few weeks, that's what you want to watch. Those are the big ones. But the first step is Friday's Jackson Hole Symposium Economic Conference with Jerome Powell. That's the first step. What does Powell say? I think he's going to be neutral. So I think then things will pivot to PCE, GDP next week, and then the labor report early September. Is my music too loud? You want me to turn it down? I can. Turn it down if that's better. Let me know. Yeah, we got the FOMC minutes report today. That might influence things a little bit. We'll cover it. Bitcoin's still down a little bit, man. Look at Bitcoin. In the grand scheme of things, though, this is just a small little hiccup. All right, Nasdaq's bouncing back up here. We're over the 200 exponential. We'll see if we hold. Gold still sitting at 33.80s. Bitcoin at 120s. All right, so look at the Nasdaq churn up here. See if it continues. Look at that news. News is kind of light today. Do we have any earnings? We did actually have earnings. That. Target, Estee Lauder, a bunch of other. All right, so we're pushing up. There's 430s above us. I think we might have some like 425 area. Go here. 5 is right. I think that's really the level versus 430 that we're rejecting off of. All right, so a lot of retail earnings. Look at that 425 level. Got Target, Estee Lauder, TJ Maxx, Baidu, DIM, ADI, which is Analog Devices to Lowe's, FUTU. I don't like Lowe's, I like Home Depot. I'm still testing that 425 level. Let's see if that level holds. Thank you, Rusty, for the donation, brother. I appreciate it. So many people are shrugging off that 0.9% PPI inflation. I think that Powell's... I don't think Powell's shrugging it off. Yeah, I don't think Powell's shrugging it off either. Yeah, I just don't think Powell's going to be shrugging that off at all. I think the problems and the risks are big. And so I think... yeah, I mean, PPI can sometimes precede the increases to consumer prices because, like, the logic of that is a lot of the time, PPI is wholesale inflation, is producer, like, business inflation. And what happens when producers or businesses are paying more? Who gets it passed on to them? The consumers do, right? So eventually we might see that reflected in consumer prices. There just might be a little bit of a lag behind it. And so that is a pessimistic thing, potentially, for consumer prices in the future. And I think that's what Powell's going to say. And I think he's going to use that to justify hawkishness or data dependence tomorrow or Friday. That's what I think probably going to happen. Yeah, we've talked about him, Larry. I mean, we had some earnings, we had some other stuff, but it's still slow. So the president's pushing for Cook to resign. I'm seeing that news. Outside of that, there's not really any big breaking news. I told you guys the markets would be choppy probably today, and that's precisely what we've gotten. I mean, look at this. We've gone up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. We haven't really picked a trend. We haven't really stayed in any significant like direction aside from sideways. And so we're just kind of flat right now. I think unless we get some shocking data, Fed minutes today, jobless claims tomorrow, Philly Fed index tomorrow, unless we get some shocking data, then I think all eyes are going to be on Friday, like I've said a bunch. I think that makes the most sense. You know, a lot of the market is just trying to figure out what the story is that correlates with price action. Right? Like, what's the story? Today, I think the story is apprehension and fear ahead of Jerome Powell on Friday. And anytime we got something really weighted to one specific day during the week, preceding that day, sometimes we get choppy price action. I thought we'd get price action like that yesterday, but yesterday was actually pretty bearish. Any pre-market report? Now, we don't really have any economic reports today. Economic data really kicks off next week. Tomorrow we have some stuff though, but it's really going to be busy like next week. Next week, just to put this into perspective, we have new home sales, durable goods on August. We've got August 26th, Nvidia earnings Wednesday. Thursday, we got jobless claims GDP data, first revision GDP data. Last time it showed up at 3% for advanced estimate. And then Friday, we got PCE inflation and consumer sentiment. And then the week after that, I'm pretty sure we get non-farm payrolls and unemployment. I think on the 5th. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah. And then the next week we get jobless claims, non-farm payrolls, non-farm employment, labor report, all that stuff on the first week of August. ISM manufacturing PMI too. So the next couple weeks after this week, jolts as well. The next couple weeks are going to be busy. September 5th is when the next labor report happens. What's the reaction going to be if Powell does that? What, hawkish? Data dependent? Probably negative. But we don't know for sure, but probably negative. All right, we're starting to push back up here. What's up, Rich? Oh, man, we yawning a lot. I got some sleep last night, though, dude. Yesterday, I had no freaking sleep. I wonder if my IQ was just down yesterday. They say every hour less than 7, your IQ drops by 10 points. I got like 4 hours of sleep. Might have been running on single digits yesterday. I'm blaming my losses yesterday on that. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, we got 9 a.m. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I agree with Charlie's answer. Why is Palantir down so much? Because it had a freaking 600 PE ratio. It was never going to hold that. Not short term, at least. Anything that goes up big generally goes down quick, too. Anything that goes up fast can generally go down just as fast. I'm not a big believer in what goes up must come down, because that's not true at all in the stock market. Sometimes what goes up stays up and never comes back down. You know, Apple, Amazon, Nvidia. But generally, the faster it goes up, the faster it can pull back, right? And when Palantir's got a 600 PE ratio and it's up ridiculous percentages, you know, that's kind of how it goes. 30-40% pullback on those high beta speculative stocks. Yeah, it's normal. For sure. I agree. Palantir is kind of a polarized company, though. People either freaking love it or they hate it. I'm not really either one of those. Alright, so we're going to be day trading the open live. So we're trying to hold here. We do. Huh? I think we pull back to 425 and hold. I don't really like betting on a direction right now, but Carvana. Well, Carvana has dropped from 413s down to 344s in less than a month, about 2.5 weeks. So I mean, the percentage rule there, what goes up big kind of comes down fast sometimes too, is not necessarily proven wrong with Carvana. Carvana is kind of an anomaly though. Carvana, I wish I could go back in time and buy Carvana at like $6 a share a year ago. But to be completely honest, I was kind of pessimistic regarding Carvana. I didn't necessarily think Carvana was doing good. Carvana pulled back a huge percentage. And sometimes favors the bold. But 2023 Carvana was at $355 a share. But at the same time, though, it had dropped from $350, $400 a share, basically, down to $3 and something within a 2-year period. So that's not really the type of company I want to buy up. Of course, anybody that did buy it up did really, really, really well. But I can't really justify buying it, even if I wish I could have. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how much the argument was. Carvana went bankrupt, I think, for a little while, too. Like, I'm not really interested in buying that up at $3 a share. I think there's too big of a likelihood like that it does something kind of like Bed Bath & Beyond did, where it gets delisted, goes to pink sheets, and then you just never see it again, right? And even though that didn't happen and Carvana ended up flying up ridiculous percentages over the last 2 years, I still can't justify buying it outside of just gambling. And all I can really do is be honest with you guys. Of course, I could say, oh, I wanted, yeah, Carvana was a good buy back then. Of course, to be honest, to me, it wasn't. To be honest, I wanted to short GameStop at $4 a share in 2020. I didn't because I'm not really a big short person. But I certainly didn't want to buy GameStop just because of the fundamental trend of GameStop. I mean, GameStop is GameStop. You could try to argue it's some type of good business. And while I respect Roaring Kitty and everything he did for it, and I'm picking retail over big banks all day, but fundamentals never really meshed with GameStop. It doesn't really earn any money. People download digital copies of video games now, and this is a trend that's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse over time for them. Consoles only come out, every 5-6 years? New consoles, 7 years, maybe longer, maybe once a decade you get big consoles coming out. And so, I think it's a hard business for GameStop to succeed in. I think they got way too many stores out there, And I think it was understandable to short them. As much as I hate to say this. I mean, I didn't short them because, again, I'm not really in the business of shorting. But I understand the shorts. They held, obviously, way too long, though. Yeah, I mean, this channel grew from AMC GameStop, just to put this into perspective, right? Like, my channel grew from AMC GameStop. We were streaming it before it, but we covered AMC GameStop, and we held GameStop on the upside after the squeeze started. I remember I bought GameStop. I wrote it up to like $400 or $500 a share, right? Like at the tippity top. And then I remember telling my stream of like 2,000 people during the squeeze, 3,000 people. I remember being like, yo, I'm selling. You know, I'm out. And then the whole stream just turned on me. They said, oh, you're not a true supporter of the movement. And I'm sitting there like, dude, we're at $500 a share for GameStop. You know, we could pretend it's going to keep going up. And then eventually it just corrected massively and everybody kind of got scared and ran out. And my sell ended up being the right one there. But investors, traders are fickle. Again, we're sideways, chat. We're not really doing anything. I think this is predictable. Gold's still pushing up though. Look at gold's trend, man. Gold up to 33.80s. Yeah, like I'll ride these crazy big trends, but you better believe I'm selling once we get to a certain point. Once I think the risk is too high, I'm selling. Yeah, then the issue really happened when like people went from GameStop to AMC and they treated AMC like it was the same, and it wasn't. AMC, super large float, small range. GameStop, tiny float, influenceable by the movement, squeezable. AMC, not so much, but a lot of retail traders had just gotten involved, and so they didn't really understand that AMC wasn't the same thing as GameStop. So then they jumped in AMC and they started pressuring people to buy AMC, but AMC wasn't nearly as squeezable as GameStop was, just in terms of fundamentals. In order to squeeze like that, you need a high short float, small float. Why? Because a small float means that you can pump it, right? And AMC had like 500 million more in the float, very large float. GameStop had like 20 million. And so it's just not the same thing. But again, a lot of retailers that didn't understand fundamentals jumped in the market at that period of time. And so they piled into AMC. And of course, AMC never went anywhere. And so you just got to understand this stuff. They're still out there with AMC right now talking about bag holders and ape army and all this different stuff. And that's great. I mean, I hope AMC goes up, you know. But I'm not gonna hold it personally. I'm not gonna pander to them either. I'm not gonna tell them I'm holding it just to try to. A lot of people are just putting out these conspiracy theories so they can grow a following online at this point in time. And I feel like if I told everybody to buy something, and then that same thing went down 95%, 90%, 80%, I just feel terrible. So I'm not gonna tell people to buy anything because, especially not AMC. Yeah, I mean, GameStop, you know, eventually you can have like a mania, like the GameStop movement, and that's fine. But eventually fundamentals are going to play. And GameStop doesn't have good fundamentals. Just doesn't make good money. The future projections are pretty bleak, I would say. Even if they're pivoting. I mean, number one, they obviously need to shut down some stores. You know? Like the GameStop dynamic of stores from the early to mid 2000s is not anywhere near the dynamic today. GameStop's a lot less popular in terms of foot traffic now. There's some stores that might be able to stay open, maybe in like malls and stuff like that. But the dynamic of having a GameStop around every corner is not going to work anymore, unfortunately, in terms of technological advancements and digital downloading. Yeah, it's an outdated business model. Yeah, GoPro, I'm surprised GoPro didn't do as well. GoPro was one of those companies, I never really invested in it, but I thought it would do better than it did. The problem with GoPro is that people's phones started developing and competition got pretty fast with this type of stuff. Like GoPro is where it's at because of competition. Float. Yeah, GoPro's got 85 million shares out there. So GoPro as a company is worth, what is it at now? It's at 127 share. Yeah. It'd be 85 plus 27%. So GoPro is worth about what, like 105 million or something like that, right? So just to, yeah, so GoPro is still a $100 million company. But in terms of public companies, that's not that big. You know, that's not that big. Anyways, market's still sideways, guys. I don't know what to do here. I'm not trying to rant. I'm just talking about finance and stocks, but there's just nothing really going on. Very small range, very muted price action, a lot of fears. Gold's pushing up, Palantir sideways. Nvidia has been going back and forth between red and green all day. It's now technically green on the day chat, technically green. IBM and NASA are releasing open source AI model on Hugging Face to predict solar weather and safeguard critical technology. All right, so AGF Investments Valier is speaking about Powell's speech at Jackson Hole on Friday. He says it is the final speech. He can rant about tariffs, inflation, but the president will certainly get upset, and their forecast is Powell will be out by the end of this year. Really? I don't know. I don't think so. Look, they're going to let Powell finish his term. His term ends in May. You don't think AMC is a decent buy at 280? Not saying about the farm, but just to put a little bit of cash into it. I'm not interested in buying it right here. It might go up. I think movie theaters in general. All right, it's at the bottom of the range. So just in terms of a range bound trade, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Just in terms of range, you know. But the problem is that competition's out there now. The movie theater industry is changing. There's not as many big movies. The movies that are big, a lot of the time, go very quickly direct to streaming, right? And that's bad for AMC because movie theaters make most of their money through food purchases, not from the movies themselves. And so you need people in the seats to justify the business, and the business has changed drastically. And so there's just a lot of question marks I have about the future of the movie industry in terms of theaters. And because of that, I'm not really interested in buying up AMC as a fundamental play long term. I think maybe you'll get another squeeze, potentially, maybe like a small one. But I'm not as confident enough in that to buy it up and hold it long term, personally. I think there's too big of a chance that the movie industry continues to change. That eats up AMC and Aaron. You know, I don't know. I think it's just going to keep... I think it's risky. The end point I'm trying to say. I think it's risky. Speech is Friday. Yeah, Nasdaq's not moving today, guys. Yeah, Nasdaq's not really moving. It's kind of boring. Moody's is threatening to downgrade. Yeah, again, I'm a big believer in balance. We can end QT and pause, or we could do a 25 basis point cut and continue QT. I'm okay with both of those options, I think. You want mortgage rates to go down in QT and MBS. Today we got the FOMC minutes report. We got 23 minutes left. Nasdaq's very choppy right now, though. So China is deepening its energy trade with Russia, making it top source of crude oil imports, and amid suspension of U.S. purchases, analysts suggest halted U.S. crude imports could serve as a bargaining tool for Beijing, according to the SCMP. We take a look at oil. Oil's been down to the low 60s. It's back up to 62.5. Yeah, I loved Key and Peele. My daughter and I love Key and Peele. We watch that show all the time. We watch reruns of it. Kind of like Chappelle Show-esque. I like Chappelle Show a little bit more, but Key and Peele's good. I've always referred to Adam Aaron as AA Ron. It just fits so well with him, you know. We're at 420s right now. 200 exponentials right there at 418s, 419s. We'll see if it holds. Low oil prices can be low for a lot of different reasons, right? Like they can be low from overseas stability. If it's more stable overseas, generally we get low oil prices. If it's unstable overseas, we get higher oil prices. And so oil's too nuanced to say one thing like, oh, this means a recession's coming. Not necessarily. It could just mean stability. I don't know. I've traded oil. I'm not really a big not a big trader of it. I was talking to Top Step TV yesterday about cattle prices, like /CE. That right? No, what is it? /SE? Is it? Cattle. LE is what it is. Is it more predictable here? I think it probably is, dude. I mean, look, the liquidity is certainly lower, but the trends hold in this. Look at the trends. Look how obvious the trends are in cattle prices. Like when we go up, we go up. When we go down, we go down. It's of course it's not that obvious, but well, I might start trading cattle prices. All right, we're coming right back down. All right, guys, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. We're green a decent percentage already on the day. We traded earlier this morning. We're back under that 200 exponential. A lot of the market's starting to flush down here. I'm hoping the Saints are good this year. All right, look at this breakdown here. We got the Swedish Prime Minister states his willingness to join the security guarantees overseas, but insists on safe and secure conditions. People are saying the dollar may gain if Powell is hawkish. The speculators might scale back in again. against the dollar if Powell signals caution on rate cuts, which I think he probably will. Jane Foley from Robobank thinks markets expect a September cut, but Powell's tone may temporarily support the dollar. They see euro rising. All right, we're bouncing up a little bit. Let's see what happens when we get up to the 200 exponential. We got 18 minutes left. If the president did that, Marco, I would do a live reaction to the president's reaction to Jerome Powell's speech. I'd do a live reaction of a live reaction, I think, in that situation. Again, let's ask the chat. Do you guys think the Fed should be focused more on inflation or labor market weakness? More on cuts or inflation? What's the bigger risk? Inflation or labor market weakness? Yeah, I think the Saints might tank for Arch. Inflation, 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 inflation. Yeah, that's probably true. But I think we have some labor market weakness signs as well. It's not like, you know, those revisions to the labor report are nasty, man. They're bad. 258,000 revised jobs down. They think Goldman Sachs thinks in early September they're going to revise them down 500 to a million. And so, you know, there's weakness on both fronts. Stagflation makes the most sense. I think both sides are pretty weak and fearful. So we'll see what happens, but yeah. Job revisions are bad indeed, but that's due to firing people from useless jobs. Yeah, maybe. Tariffs are inflationary, but not organically. Yeah, kind of. Labor, if inflation is up and consumers are still spending, then inflation is fine, but no jobs means no consumer. Well, you still got consumers, but it's less. All right, so we're breaking down. We're hitting that 405 level we talked about earlier, and we're bouncing right off of it here. Again, we're flat, though, right now. I can see us start to break down here, though. If we bounce to 410, we might take a little short leading into the opening bell. If we get it. Oh, close enough, I think, here. I don't want to get caught in the chop, though, but we'll jump small. Flush back down. In a choppy market, I'm kind of buying the range here. We got a cushion on the day, though, so I can probably add to this. We got 4 contracts here. We'll cut it if it pushes up too much. I want to give it a second to come back down. Our risk is going to be about 416, 417. Arvana breaking down, it's at 322s. All right, so we've flushed down enough. I'm going to take a little piece off here just to lower my risk a little bit. That tested my risk level, so I don't want to retest of that. I'd rather just keep it small. There we go, it's better. I'm gonna cut half of it here, and again, make the trade pretty much flat. And now I can let it break down some more like I want. And if it pushes up, it's a much smaller loss. A little bit of risk management. We're green on the day anyway, but it still looks like it might break down. But if it doesn't now, we're a little bit more protected. Still green on the day. So. All right, so Norwegian Cruise Line reaffirms its 2025 guidance. Nvidia's still looking weak. We push back up, I'm gonna just cut this. It might continue back down, but we start chopping sideways. It's just get out here. We're still green on the day, but we were able to limit that one pretty big, so that's good. I still think it honestly might keep going down. Yeah, target's down. We bought the target dip too. Yeah, I mean, there's too much risk. We were choppy prior to this dip. I think a lot of people are probably jumping on this short too, but we're green on the day. We got 10 minutes into the open. I don't want to hold through the open, even though I still think it'll probably break down. Yeah, I don't know how much control he has. I mean, he's got control, but so does every Fed chairman. I don't think we can really blame Powell for it necessarily. Yeah, see, there we go. We break it down again. We're just a little too close to the open. How's cruise ships doing? I'm assuming they're not doing good. Honestly, they're up big. Let's see, hold on. About the year. Cruise has actually had a pretty good year. Actually, never mind. Cruise is down on the year. Yeah, that's what I thought. At Cruise, I'm not a big believer in going on cruise. Some people are really about it. I'm just not. Being stuck on a ship with a whole bunch of people, I get seasick. I'm not about going on. Not going on a cruise. Saw that Poop Cruise documentary too. That doesn't look like fun. Yeah, I think we're gonna get risk taken off into Jackson Hole. I think that just makes logical sense. Oh man, dude, I keep yawning. I know. I'm here. I'm up. Gotta drink more coffee. My coffee's kind of small this morning. I haven't drank much of it. You think we're going down into Jackson Hole tomorrow? Jackson Hole's Friday, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's jobless claims unemployment. But so yeah. tomorrow. Jackson Hole's Friday at 10 a.m. I believe Eastern. Bro, I ain't putting any of those dolls in my house. I'm not the most superstitious person, but I'm not doing that. I've seen enough horror movies in my time. Okay, I'm not buying one of those dolls. All right, we're very flat sideways. Yeah, I mean, businesses are going to try to be proactive in protecting themselves against tariffs, and they might hire less people. Sure, that makes sense. All right, guys. Hey, we got 7 minutes left. 7 minutes. All right, Nvidia's falling down still. Nasdaq's rising. United Health is back up a little bit though. All right, so this is 5 minutes, 6 minutes before the open. 200 exponentials up there at 418s. We're green on the day, but small. We're gonna see if we can build some profit. I think the market's gonna be muted today, personally, but maybe not. Sometimes when I say that, market's just crashing down here. All right, so we're back up to that 200 exponential. Yes, Jay. I have a 49-inch ultra wide monitor below, and so that's what I watch. I look at a lot of different time frames. Rumor has it this is a cooking channel. What a beautiful kitchen I've got here, bro. Look at that kitchen. What a kitchen. Top 3 greatest kitchens of all time ever. Look at the NASDAQ fall here. Let's see if there's any news. Could be the market on open. All right, we're getting a little whippy ahead of the opening bell. Top 3 kitchen ever. Cook in the stock market. The cook of Wall Street. That's it. That's my new name. The cook of Wall Street. Chinese Vice Commerce Minister met with foreign business reps, according to MOFCon. All right, NASDAQ breaking down here. I know some of y'all laughed at my Cook of Wall Street joke. It might be a dad joke. But you know it's kind of funny. Yeah, it's an ultra wide monitor. All right, we're at 410s. All right, 3 minutes. NASDAQ hit 403 and bounced. All right, so an earthquake just has hit the Indonesian capital, Jakarta, according to local reports. This is an Odyssey. I think this is like a G9 Odyssey. 49-inch ultra wide is what I think it is. I have a picture somewhere in my conversation with Pawn. I don't know where it's at, somewhere way down there. All right, Nasdaq's chopping. Nvidia's still breaking down. It's under 175s right now. That's what's driving markets falling down here a little bit ahead of the opening bell, but we're still pretty flat, all things considered here. We got Apple, Amazon. All right, here's a big rip in the Nasdaq too, man. Look at the market. It's just whippy here. Very choppy, very muted. All right, guys, we got a minute and 10 seconds left. A lot of push-ups happening right now, though. I don't really see any justifiable breaking news from this, but we got... Amazon's ripping up. That might be driving this. All right, here we go. Opening bell's almost here. We got 50 seconds. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard about him, Diamond D, in a long time, brother. It's been a while. Like, I covered some of the news with him, but it's been so long, dude. All right, so Russia introduces retaliatory sanctions against 21 British and Western nations. Yeah, pretty light. All right, here's the opening bell. 10 seconds. Here's the bell. See what we get. All right, Nvidia. Going a little sideways. Kind of muted action so far, though. Again, hit the live button next to the play button. Put it in 2x speed if you're delayed. It'll catch it up. Sometimes y'all's lag kind of pushes you back in the stream. All right, look at the turn here, though. We're turning down now. Nvidia inducing this, I think. Along with Apple and Meta. Microsoft, that is. It is flush. Too close to the opening bell for me to trade. I gotta wait and let this settle down some first. We're still falling down here. At the bottom of the range, though. Low of the day is really about 370s. Really, actually, the low of the day, I'm sorry, is at... Really, the low of the day is at 334s, so it's way down there. We go up to 403, I'm going to short this here, but only if it takes long enough, so we get 4 or 5 minutes to pass first. Oh, should have shorted it, but we're too close to the bell. Nasdaq all the way back down. Cracking lows. Probably on fear of hawkish Powell, I think is what this is. Nvidia's falling down too. Look at this. Red showing up in markets. All right, we're 2.5 minutes into the bell. The Nasdaq is weak. Watch 350. All right, we're almost 3 minutes into the day. I'm not really... It's a little bit too close to the bell for me to attack. Still dropping here. Watch 350s. We reject right here. Yep. Green in my target trade. Watch 75. Oh, just ripped past it. Look at that rebound here. Wow. What a rebound. Look at that 405 level. I should have taken it. We're 4 minutes into the day. I probably could have right here. Look at that. Look at that level right here. Ah, it hurts. Missed it. All right, so the UK government announces new sanctions targeting the evasion tactics of Russia and cryptocurrency networks. HIMS is doing some things. That's good. Thank you, Pawn. Yeah, y'all want to see my monitor? This is my monitor setup. All right, look at the breakdown in the Nasdaq right here. Look at this. I'm waiting to get some settling first here, but some rebounds and a lot of stuff though. I want to short. I'm gonna try. All right, we're short. Green. Took half off there just because we can. Yep. All right, we're out. Very quick. That was like a 3-second trade. Honestly, we just went down so fast right when I entered. What is this? Is this actually music? What are you doing here, man? What's there music in this? Yeah, it's a 49 ultra wide curved. What it is. Symmetrical flag here. This is mostly Nvidia, Amazon, and others breaking down. What I want to do here, kind of in the middle. We're rebounding all the way back up already. Looks interesting, but bears could be in control ahead of Powell on Friday too. Will we find some footing here, guys? Good short again. I'm too convinced we might have sideways choppy action even after the bell, though. I'm gonna buy this actually right here. Cut it close to break even. Earns on me. All right, we'll hold the rest break even now that we're green. We'll cut it right there. Up almost $100 today so far. We'll see if we take some more trades though. Things are down a lot. I'm gonna take a little bit off of my target trade too, because we're up a decent percentage already, a few percent already. We're just gonna take a quarter of it off. Got in at 94s. It's at 96s right now. So at least a couple percent. I keep telling people, like, one of the most predictable patterns. Again, it's not going to happen every time. There's always variance. I can't guarantee anything. Don't copy me. Stocks usually rebound at least a little bit after dropping big percentages from earnings. Not always. Depends on the company. If the company's dog crap, then it's going to be crap. And I'm sure maybe some people would agree regarding Target on that. But usually we're at least going to rebound a little bit. And I think there's some edge there. Target might dump tomorrow. I don't know. It's going to go up, I think, but you never know. All right, so we're back down to the bottom of the range here. I might buy this up now, too. A risky buy here for sure. Do not copy me here. We just got a big cushion on the day. All right, we're going to take profit again. Hold the rest break even. See if we bounce back even more. All right, we'll put that right there. I thought we'd get a liquidity grab right there. But Microsoft bouncing back. Good thing we cut that scalp there too, because this thing kept going down. 350, we just dumped underneath it. A bad sign. Watch 325s right here. Right here. Nvidia just cracked lows. Nvidia's still falling down. Yeah, I'm scalping this. I don't trust it enough. Like, we've short and gone long, but pretty close to the opening bell too here. If 50 rejects it. Yep. Short term. This is what Nvidia does here. If Nvidia keeps cracking lows, it's going to drag the Nasdaq down with it. Microsoft's heading up though. Got some divergence there. You guys red or green so far? I'm pretty green on the day, but get a decent bounce up to like 75, 375. I might short it here. with like 390 risk, very very tight. 365s. Again, I'm gonna take a little bit more off of my target trade. Where did we go? Oh my gosh, we went right up to 75s. I don't know if I would have gotten filled there anyway. Take one, maybe two. Well, we'll hold this break even now. Hopefully it breaks down some more. Okay, take that there. Up nicely over 100 pretty quickly at the open. Again, what did we say? We said 75 here. About where we rejected. 75 is right here. Okay, let's watch this 325 level right here. Amazon breaking lows, just cracked down. That'll drag us down to that 325 level probably. Here we go. Right at it. There it is. Look at that bounce. It holds though. Nvidia just turned. We might just rip through this, but we might bounce. Yeah, look at Nvidia turned, Amazon turning. Still right at that 325 level, but we also have 3 right here. If that doesn't hold. A lot of weakness showing up in tech, Amazon, Nvidia, more. The lows of the day just hit. We just broke lows of the day at 335s. So. Look at Nvidia go pretty deep red. We caught a really nice bounce on our other account too. At 300. But look at Nvidia, guys. Nvidia down to 172s. Things are looking weak. Add a little more. One of these. That's my window, by the way, not yours. Toss. Again, check out Top Step. John, please remove all these charts. Teach us how to make perfect coffee. The cook of Wall Street. All right, guys. Hey, check out Top Step if you want to help support the channel. No PDT rule in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, and currencies. Very similar to day trading stocks. Get you around the PDT rule. It's $50 a month for the base one. If you pass it, you get a 50K funded account. 90% split. They pay out millions, fund thousands. It's just a good way to learn when most day traders lose. And so, frankly, it's usually a lot cheaper to lose here when you get started than funding 5, 10, 20, 30 grand and losing that. Market's just flushing down here though. Look at this. And again, I'm trading the QQQ price action in futures on Top Step. Sellers in full control for sure. If you want to check them out, their new dashboard allows you to process payouts quickly, track payouts, activate funded accounts immediately, and more. It's really, really useful. You get a reset bank as well. So every time the month hits, you get a reset bank. Just really, really useful. But they're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased. I get paid by them. Top 3 most biased ever. But it's looking like the market's pricing in Jerome Powell fears. So we'll see. But this is a deep red open. All right, let's watch 300 here, see if this rejects now. The bears are certainly in control right now. $23K down here might make sense, I think. Here's 23, big psychological milestone level. Look at this level I got on Nvidia right here. I don't know when I drew this, but bounced off of it. At 3 did reject it up here on the NASDAQ. Look at Amazon breakdown. I'm glad I sold that a few days ago too. I sold Amazon as well. All right, look at that 3-level reject here. Bears are still flushing down. We're very green on the day though. We're up probably net a couple $100 at least. This is Amazon driven mostly. Look at Amazon crash down here. That's what this is. I'm gonna buy the Amazon dip. I wonder. I'm not gonna do it ahead of Powell. Market's flushing deep red here. All right. Look at Nvidia start to crack lows here too. Yeah, it's a big sell-off. Deep red action right now, chat. Y'all be careful. Yeah, it could go. Yesterday, it happened a lot. Like yesterday, we got like really deep red. Let's watch 23.2s. Let's see if 23.2s give us a bounce. Show you guys my other funded account here that I've been trading today. This one. Pretty good here. You can see all the green. Seeing some bounce here. Maybe it's time to rebound. FOMC minutes today, and then Powell on Friday, I think, is scaring markets. Kind of managing some of my long positions here on this dip. We'll see what we get, but cutting some. Hey, thank you, Rusty, for the donut, bro. Appreciate it. Look at the NASDAQ still fall. Nvidia down 170s here. And y'all just be careful today. Hey, thank you for the donation, Rusty. I'm kind of day trading some stocks on my OS account too. Amazon breaking down still though. Amazon's driving this. President reiterates criticism on windmills and solar. He says we will not approve wind or farmer destroying solar. Look at this breakdown here, chat. First 25 minutes after the open. Brutal for stocks. Brutal. I'm going to take one micro position here. Just one. I don't want to take more than one. I'm going to let this sit. See if we can bounce back a little bit longer term. And we'll see. There we go. Yep. Yep. All right, we're up 100 ticks. I'm going to cut that. I wanted to let it sit longer term, but when we bounce back that fast short term and the volatility is so high, I think it's a scalping market for me. Forgive me for contradicting myself maybe a little bit there, but I didn't think it would bounce back that quick. Well, this drop is just a reaction to potential fears from Powell, Fed minutes, President index suppression, or microchip suppression by the current administration. That's what all of this drop is from mostly. We'll see. Yeah, I'm up about 250 something right now, to be honest. So I'm doing good, but maybe I should lock myself out as well. All right, look at that crack in the lows here. All right, guys, I'm going to cut this. We're going to be back for the FOMC minutes report later on today at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The FOMC minutes report drops. It's a detailed file breaking down the FOMC meeting last time. It can move markets. We'll see what happens there. I'm going to cut this and get out of here, man. Markets are crazy, though. Y'all be careful. A lot of breakdowns here. Hold on. Let me see what percentage we're down. If you want to check out Top Step again, I'll put the link up one more time. But we are down 23,420. 23,170. We're down about 1% this morning at the opening bell. Pretty bloody drop. But y'all be careful, chat. Y'all be careful. Again, I'm not an investment professional. Of course, I'm not liable if you lose. Check out Top Step. Beautiful way to help support the channel. We will be back a little bit later. As soon as we close this stream, it should bring you to our next stream that we're doing live at 2. We're going to start at like 1 something market time and be ready for the FOMC release at 2. So just be ready then, guys. Y'all be careful. Market's a little crazy right now. And yeah, I'll see you guys in a couple minutes. Again, just be smart. A lot of craziness. It's going to redirect you to the FOMC minutes report in a couple hours. So I'll see you guys then. Y'all be good. Later, chat. Y'all be careful.